Calaroga Shark Media.
Hey there, I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. Jerry Seinfeld and Ronny Chieng had a discussion printed in Interview magazine. Jerry said, "My daughter's writing comedy and I'm teaching her wherever I can, but the main thing I teach is in this life, you must always please the comedy gods. They dislike arrogance and ego. They will smite you if you display too much arrogance, but they will also smite you quickly and seriously if you're not bold when the opportunity presents itself." I actually believe in this, and we watch it happen every single day. Anytime you watch somebody do a set, the gods are right there to smack them. You don't question them, you don't argue with them, you accept their judgments. If you don't supply what they demand, which is laughs, they will make you sorry. It's like a dog and food. Your dog is the most wonderful pet. Stop feeding them and see how long that lasts. New topic. Ronny said, "Your generation created the infrastructure of comedy, and in many ways, you guys were the pioneers of stand-up comedy. Did you age into a different perspective? Does your audience age with you?" Jerry, "I've seen many comics grow old. I mean, all the guys I loved in the 60s, they were old. But age is a little different now than it was. In those days, 40 was pretty old. So it comes down again to what the comedy gods require. Your love must be pure. Yeah, the money's great, fame is great. But they'll catch you at that if you try to pull that crap on them. They're the gods. They see everything." Ronny, "Are you trying to convert me to Judaism? Is that what this is?" Jerry, "Sure, but Jews don't look for converts. That's why there's so few of us. We sell everything else really well." Ronny, "Part of me loving stand-up comedy is realizing that it's separate from show business, or Hollywood at least. I used to want Hollywood to give me flowers. I wanted to be acknowledged that I had a good set or I sold out this venue. But the more I do comedy, the more I'm like, I'm glad they don't know what I just did. I'm surprised when people know that I do stand-up comedy. I'm genuinely shocked." Jerry, "That's funny. Stand-up comedy is an island off the coast of show business. The money we got paid last night versus the money Netflix pays us, it's connected. I know it's not amusing or interesting how it happened, but it happened in 2015 when Chris Rock was offered a big chunk of dough to do an election stand-up special, which he couldn't do. That offer's when everything flipped. Then all of a sudden, for the first time, it's like, are we important?" Ronny, "You didn't feel that way with the satires like Jon Stewart?" Jerry, "No. You were still an exile who was invited in, a side dish that everybody likes, but it's not important." Ronny, "But that's what makes it cool, right? It took me so long to realize that what makes stand-up cool is being the side dish, being outside of it. Like you said in your famous award-winning speech, we don't want to win awards. We want to be in the back of the room making fun of people getting awards." Jerry, "I would like to talk a little bit about some of the profanity that you use. What's your philosophy with that?" Ronny, "I don't want to rely on it. Are we talking about swear words or just profane premises?" Jerry, "Profane premises. I don't mind. I shouldn't even be doing this in this interview. It's only because your language skills are so exceptional. This is my personal opinion. Feel free to reject it, but the reason we're paying to see Ronny Chieng is because he talks better than us. Some comedians say, well, I like to use words to help people talk. If I want to hear people talk, I don't need to pay for that. I can just open the window. It does hit me sometimes when I see you use certain words. I go, Ronny could get that same laugh without that word. Not because the words are offensive, because they're not, but because it's an opportunity to demonstrate your superior skill level. That's the reason I bring it up. Ronny, I appreciate that, but you've given my mother fuel for the rest of her life. She's been telling me, you got to be more like Seinfeld. He doesn't swear. Now, Seinfeld is literally telling me to stop swearing. Jerry, my mother wanted me to have more sexual material. Chieng, are you serious? Jerry, I'm serious. In her 80s and 90s, she would complain, why don't you ever talk about sex? Isn't that funny? Ronny, honestly, if your punchline is swearing, I think that's when it gets a little lazy, but pushing yourself to not swear at all is a degree of difficulty. Sometimes the economy of words makes it so that it's the easiest way to get across a certain emotion. But I hear you. Tom Papa told WTOP, when I was a kid, the first comedy albums I ever heard were George Carlin and Steve Martin. I was in like 7th grade and I heard Class Clown and Let's Get Small in 1 week. My friend's older brothers had these albums and it seemed mysterious, and we went in and heard these albums. I was always funny as a kid, but it dawned on me that week, oh, there's a job out there for grown-ups to continue being funny. He launched his career in 1993 in New York City, where he met Jerry Seinfeld. Tom says that was after his TV show when he came back to the clubs and he saw me on stage and thought I was funny. I just grabbed on his coattails and didn't let go. Sebastian Maniscalco was asked about keeping the intimacy of a comedy show in a big arena. Sebastian said, I mean, we grew up in a world where we're always looking at the screen anyway. I've noticed even in my own shows that people in the third row are looking up at the screen even though I'm right there. So screens are very important, as well as lighting. I've also tweaked the lighting where it brings a little bit more of a dramatic look to the stage, so it's almost as if we're shooting a special every night in terms of the way the arena's lit. It really took some time in trying to make this more an event than it's been in the past. I like my shows in the past, and I've had pyrotechnics and smoke when I come on stage. It's not like I'm new to production, but this was looked at from a different angle. So yeah, it's been a long road. It hasn't been easy. You don't become the CEO overnight. You got to work your way up. I started waiting tables at the Four Seasons Hotels for 7 years when I was doing stand-up comedy, and here we are playing domes 25 years later. All right, some rat-a-tat-tat with Weird Al from Interview magazine. Where do you dance? Al, only on stage when looking like an idiot is somewhat appropriate. Interview, the world is ending. What are you wearing? Al, obviously not clean underwear. Interview, what 80s fashion trend do you want to make a comeback? Al, parachute pants. Interview, what song is playing in heaven? Al, Never Gonna Give You Up by Rick Astley. Interview. Do you have any rules for life? Al, do unto others and then just keep doing it, even if they beg you to stop. The Columbus Underground caught up with Mike Kaplan. They said they were listening to a set he did for Dry Bar, live from the universe. And what struck them was Mike Kaplan's pacing. There wasn't a wasted moment. How do you approach your pacing, Mike Kaplan? Mike says, well, there's a story attached to that particular set. I hope it doesn't take anything away from your praise. Dry Bar is a company based in Utah, and the recordings are made in a venue that doesn't have alcohol. It's in a bar, but the main deal about the aesthetic is that it's essentially clean comedy of a specific type. There were very specific guidelines and topics they preferred to avoid. If I remember correctly, they don't even love it when comedians speak meanly about their spouses. I think we settled on about an hour's worth of material that we felt was potentially perfect for it out of the 5 hours of material we had. They only asked for half an hour. Over the course of the next month, I decided which half hour would be and essentially constructed it so the whole piece was essentially like a cleanest, greatest hits of my past decade and a half of work. I decided, okay, I think this joke would be a good ending, and I think this would be a good beginning, and then we grouped the other jokes. There may be a few vegan jokes, a few jokes about relationships, a few jokes about movies. It was a fun thing to put together in a different way than creating a new hour from scratch. It was like old costumes that I was trying on again and being like, oh, I can stretch this one out again and find new youth in it. It's really funny to revisit a joke I wrote 15 years ago, because sometimes it seems like it was almost written by a different person in a way. With respect to how I achieved my cadence, I guess the simple answer is, I don't know. I did a show the other night in New York, and there was a French named Matthew in the audience with a French accent. I asked him a question, and I forget what I asked, and he said, if you want me to understand, please speak slower. And I was like, this might not be for you then. Not yet. I said that as a joke, but I probably think I kept in mind that he was there, and it became a fun item to return to check in with him. I got a lot of notes early in my career to slow down, and I understand on different nights with different material for different crowds, I'm not always going at the same clip I was in the special we're talking about. Fascinating stuff there. Right, Aaron Chen was on Vulture's list of the comedians you should and will know. Comedy opinion hill you'll die on. I really believe that the innovative creativity of TikTok and other more unconventional platforms and ways of entertaining should be just as valued as the conventional modes. Great comedy could be found anywhere. In the beginning of my TikTok journey, there were some people who suggested I step out of my character for videos. I'm so glad I stuck to my gut and didn't. I'm so grateful that my platform is, for the most part, this totally fictional world for me to play in. Best advice was from my mom, who told me to keep pursuing comedy because, according to her, you have to be in comedy because you can't help but be funny. That's why I've been laughing at you since you were little. Aww. All right, friend of the show, Gianmarco Soresi, was also on the list of the comedians who should and will know. His answers were so long, I've split this up into like 5 of these. Let's check back in with Gianmarco. He says, what I've learned is nothing can replicate saying a joke chunk story out loud in front of a full audience. Even if I haven't come up with an alternative line, even if it means I'm going to bomb or worse, get a soft laugh, I just have to keep saying it until something deep in my subconscious screams out a better version loudly enough for me to hear. Embarrassment is, unfortunately, one of the best tools for making better comedy. I've also tried to fine-tune the ability to go, okay, that might be funny, but who gives an F? Or yeah, this joke isn't as fine-tuned, but it's clearly what you want to be talking about right now. I tend to write far more than I would ever actually need stand-up-wise, and I'm trying to be more purposeful in what I choose to spend my creative time on, because oftentimes writing a new joke is just an excuse to not finish the old one. They got a little bit into money, and he said, I should mention that I really wish I could make money off Twitter. I know it wouldn't be much, but boy, I want the ability to post long videos and make money off tweets. Let that speak to just how much I hate Elon Musk and how full of bleep I am, acting like any of these other social media giants are not equally contributing to the downfall of civilization and meaningful art. I don't know what's worse, trying to understand algorithms or having your entire career depending on whoever the hell booked The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson. I would imagine one's opinion would entirely depend on if that guy liked you or not. Considering I haven't gotten on The Tonight Show now, I'm fine with the former. And that is your comedy news for today. If you enjoy the program, tell a friend about it. They might like it too if you would like the program without commercial interruption. There's a link in the show notes. I'll tell you how that happens. If you're on Apple Podcasts, click that banner there. $5 a month, you get this show and 20 plus others on the network. Commercial free. See you tomorrow.